What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with Sonya. I don't know how to pronounce your last name though, so
It's Rocvil.
Rocville. Okay, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So how are you doing today, Sonya?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm fantastic because my very favorite audience member is here to. And they're looking particularly good today. I notice. Oh, let's come on, strike a pose. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, looking good. Give me the pouty face. Oh, yeah, perfect. All right. Now, why is my heavily flattered favorite audience member here today? It's because this is a chance encounter, which is where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, investors, operators, buyers, sellers, all that kind of stuff. And why do I do that? Well, part of it is because it's the law. Okay, if you're going to include anybody in a partnership or anything like that, you have to get to know somebody to make sure you know what they actually do in this business and how they're going to help out, what they're looking for, and all that kind of stuff. And I do it in these little 15-minute segments here. And if you're using the speed controls down there, then you can put it on 2 times speed. Sometimes you can finish these in only 7.5 minutes. But before we get too excited about that stuff, Sonia, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience a little bit?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Sonya Rocville. I'm the principal and founder of Bedrock Real Estate Investors. My company purchases multifamily apartment buildings in the Southeast. And I really like the opportunity to be able to help people diversify their portfolios by investing in income producing multifamily properties.
Beautiful, beautiful. The next thing I have though is I hit that and then I hit this again and I hit that and then is it going to work? It worked. Hooray. But wait, check your eight. I don't know if you can see from where you're sitting there, Sonia, but the on your eight, it's the audience's five, which is down here. They might have a
Okay.
big ugly red subscribe button, and they really should have the gray one. I don't know if you can make it out there, but it's not that important. Jokes aside, let's do the first part here. The five distinct motivations that I've found among commercial real estate investors. Now, everybody comes into this for more or less similar things, but I found the ones that really separate people, and I'm going to have another app open that I don't want. But anyway, so the first reason I found some people end up getting involved here is because they are preserving their purchasing power. Now, what that's all about is it means that they have a portfolio of assets that the cash flow comes from it and helps them make their ends meet. But every once in a while, they're going to have to make a new acquisition because of inflation or maybe because of an asset class or something like that. They're not in the business of getting rid of things, but this isn't what I'm up to. What I'm up to is I'm trading time directly for wealth. And what that's all about is I have a background in technology, specifically CRMs, and I've had a CRM agency since 2011. And one of the problems, though, of being a high wage earner, high salary earner, anything like that, is you end up giving more in tax than anybody else. Income tax is the heaviest type of tax out there. So that's why I was like, well, how do I pivot and then get rewarded for my time in the form of deployed equity? So that's what I'm up to. Whereas a lot of people, they're more concerned about fast tracking their retirement. When it comes to fast tracking their retirement, that means they're taking control of their schedule. Maybe it means they're working fewer months per year, fewer weeks per month, fewer hours per week, something like that. That's a great motivation. But in here, there are a lot of people who aren't really motivated by that side. Like, for example, the people who are super duper ambitious, who want to buy their entire hometown. They're looking for that generational wealth. So they keep on making acquisitions because they want to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. So that's what they're up to. And they're never going to quit. And they're going to be hustling into their 90s, just like this last group of people, which is they found a sector of society, or maybe it's animals or the environment, or who knows what it is, but chances are it's going to take a lot of financial backing to make a really big impact. And that is why they're making these acquisitions. So, Sonia, of those five different motivations, what describes you really best?
Yeah, I'd say the last one really resonates with me, helping people who need it, because what I really love about multifamily in particular is it provides shelter. It is a basic human need. So when I think about providing clean and safe homes for people, I just think that that's a fantastic way to provide clean and safe homes for people, and at the same time, help to introduce people into real estate and help to build a portfolio of generational wealth. So I feel like there's a win for both people there. So
Mhm.
I like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's there's no shortage of places that are basically uninhabitable, but people live there anyway. And just having the pride in what you do, I think that's really important. And I think landlords, well, I think more of the slumlords are getting priced out with the competition, which is I just think it's just great news. But we still have a lot of PR to do as a
Yeah.
community. But the next thing I want to bring up here is the tolerance for risk assessment. It's the fill in the blanks question. So there are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What's too risky for you, Sonia?
Yeah, so I just tend to stay on the multifamily side. So when I think about the different asset classes to invest in, I'm gonna say the class class D is probably most risky for me. And that those are usually not only really older properties, but maybe in areas where it may be very challenging to find more residents. You may have a lot of difficulties in terms of collecting rent. And I think one of the things for new people that are coming in, because C-class properties can have some of those characteristics as well, but it's a different resident base. And so you just want to make sure that when you're getting into the business, that you're not mistaking your asset type for your risk tolerance. I think that's the biggest thing. So while I do look at C plus properties, I want to make sure that I'm definitely not in a D area where it's going to be harder for me to operate that property there. And I think if your tolerance is I want to be an A class, then make sure you're not in a B or C. So I think it's just a matter of making sure you have that knowledge of your demographic and your local area.
That's great, and it gives a lot of insight, especially onto a couple things that we're going to be talking about, like the definition of class and whatever. But one of the things I do in every single one of these episodes of Chance Encounters is I use the Dan Does Deals commercial roll die. You can get your own for free at dandoesdeals.com. And like a dummy, I don't even ask for your email address. And from a marketing perspective, that's the worst thing you can possibly do is not ask for contact for information. But what I'm really going for is I want to make sure that you can effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate, understanding how a deal works, and more importantly, how my guest fits into those deals. So I go through all six of these sides in every single one, and you can print it out and practice it by going to the site. Anyway, so a repositioner is the first one that pretty much everybody has a little bit of this role, but they're really an acquisitions person. So they're looking at a bunch of different properties, doing a bunch of paperwork. And what are they looking for in all that paperwork? Well, first thing they're doing, it's a fancy word, it's underwrite. They underwrite the deal, which means they do the math. They find out, hey, is this property actually even making as much money as the broker and the seller claim it is? And on top of that, though, not everybody uses the term repositioner for an acquisitions person. But what I mean when the person underwrites it, they're also looking, how do I change the property? How do I reposition it so it's making more upside than it is right now? Now, there are three main tools in the tool belt of the repositioner to pull that off. First one is more advantageous lending from a financier. Financiers are like banks. It's anybody who deals with just paper, and money is the financier. Now let's assume though that the repositioner doesn't have access to particularly advantageous lending. So the first place they're going to look is operations to cut expenses, and they're going to stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. But there's more to operations than just unclogging toilets, collecting rent, taking out trash, mowing lawns, and all that kind of fun stuff. There's also a marketing piece, which is one of my fortes that I'm bringing along to my GP teams, and that is to make sure that the vacancy rate stays super duper low. I'm also a programmer, so I also help in automating a lot of different systems. But at the end of the day, operations, more efficient operations in all its forms, it's only going to do so much. So a lot of repositioners also need a contractor team to fix the place up. They do a value add or they do the renovations. And the purpose of that, again, we're looking for upside here, is that way the next tenant will be more than happy to pay more in rent than the previous one. So that's why you need the contractor team. But one problem that a repositioner might run into, especially if they're like me, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm from the internet. So I need a local. I need somebody who lives nearby who can be there in an hour or so, because in an hour or so, I'd still be at the airport. So that's not going to work for me. But when the repositioner has this whole team ironed out and they turn around to the financier and they say, hey, I got this property that I want to take over. It's worth tens of millions of dollars. Do you happen to have, say, tens of millions of dollars you could lend me? Well, the financier is going to say, hold up a second. Who is your bing, who's your sponsor, KP? Okay, now what that's all about is if you want to be eligible for a commercial loan, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. Okay, so that means if you want to take over a 350 unit apartment complex, somebody in the fold has to already own a 350 unit apartment complex. And on top of that, you need a certain amount of liquidity, and then you also need a balance sheet among the owners of at least the amount of the loan. But if you do all of those things, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Sonya, as far as you go, what core competencies, what roles are you most likely to contribute to your next deal?
Yeah, so I would say it's two of them. So it would be the repositioner and then the operator. And I would say that because from the repositioning standpoint, it is about working in the team to find the deals that you think that make the most sense. I really like doing the underwriting, understanding the underwriting, but then I also wear the operations hat because I know that you have to be able to, it's not just about coming up with some assumptions high level. It's also, okay, how are we going to make this work? And so I like to be able to see both ends of it. I like to be able to say, this is what we thought we were going to do, and we have a plan to get it done. So I like looking at it from both the beginning and, during the hold process.
All right, beautiful. And that brings us to the next bit. We'll have a little bit of review, but it has to do with the ideal property. So when commercial investors, syndicators, and whatnot are talking about a buy box or an ideal property, they're really asking about three things. First one's geography, which states, which counties, possibly even which neighborhood. It's all going to matter. The second thing is going to be the size of the deal. Okay. In multifamily, we do unit count to figure out how big the deal is. Whereas in industrial, for example, you might go by square footage, but you're going to have different players taking over smaller properties from the ones that do humongous ones. So the size absolutely matters. Yikes. Number three, class, which I'm showing a distinct lack of. There are two different meanings of the word class. The first one has to do with the condition of the building. So how old is it? Is it like really beat up? Okay. Is it up to date? Is it fancy or is it bare bones? That's one version of class. The other version of class, it has to do with the neighborhood that the property is located in. So what's the crime rate like? What are the school districts like? And both of those two are rated the same way. Sonya already alluded to a couple of them. It'll be like A plus, A minus, B plus, C, and so on. So Sonya, can you recap again for all the virtual assistants in the audience who are typing all this stuff frantically? What property is easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to?
Yes. So in terms of location, I have been looking at properties, or we've done deals in the Atlanta and Georgia area. It's been so competitive there now. Definitely looking at other markets within the Southeast. So one of the other markets that we've been focusing on has been Birmingham market. And within that market, I'm looking for deals that are at least 80 units and above. And in terms of, I'm trying to remember. Oh
Class.
yeah, classes, class. So class is also, it's really important with any market. It's really important to really understand the demographics of the area. Our ideal thing and thing that most people love is to buy that property that may be in need of a value add. Maybe an older property or just not as kept up property in a really strong area. As we're entering into recession period right now, I'm definitely looking at the areas even more than before, wanting to be in areas where we think that the resident base can withstand some of the, some of the potential downturn that may be happening. There's no magic box, there's no, magic to anything. It's really just understanding. So for us, we usually target at least 40,000 of average annual income for the areas, and then anything up from that is better.
Okay, beautiful. And then the next question has to do with partnerships. And one of the things that I love about commercial real estate is that because you got these separate lanes, people are so eager to give referrals and help out. But at the same time, because we all have our own unique skill set, we're better suited to help some people other than like more than others. Me personally, I've always been on the lookout for more sponsored KPs. I'm the internet guy, and I'm also focusing on all my marketing and online skills. So and basically sponsors, KPs, they have enough of a foundation that I'd actually be able to be fuel for the fire, rather than when you're first getting started as a repositioner, you're more interested in grunts. You need somebody who's willing to put in like 120 hours a week, something like that. Now, Sonya, if you have any 506B deals, don't go enticing investors. That's not cool. But I think you can still say beginners or something like that if that's who you're into. But who are you looking to connect with more than anybody else as far as
Yeah.
sales?
Yeah, so always looking to connect with sponsors and groups that are interested in, partnering with us to look at larger deals. So that would always be a group that I'm always looking out for.
Okay, great. And then I've seen you a gazillion times on LinkedIn. We ended up connecting through some meetups on Zoom. LinkedIn's a fantastic way to reach me, but how about you? Is there a website that's better, or
Yeah,
how's it go for you?
I'm definitely on LinkedIn. You can definitely find me there. It's Sonya Rocvil. You can also go to my website at bedrockreinvestors.com. And then also you could send me an email at sonya@bedrockreinvestors.com.
All right, beautiful. And then the only thing I have left is actually not for you, Sonia, it's for you in the audience, which is if you have been experiencing, if you've been watching this video and noticing you're having like headaches or severe pains in the back, it might be because just below my microphone here, there might be a big ugly red button that you really should get rid of. And it doesn't cost you anything to get rid of the big ugly button. All you have to do is you click on it and it turns into the gray button of tranquility with the magical power of YouTube paying for this video instead of me. And that's not happening yet. So pretty pleased with sugar on top. If you could hit that, that'd be great. As I said, it doesn't cost you anything. All it really means is that my videos might show up in your list of suggestions. But you can feel free to ignore those. But I just really appreciate the fact that you joined me today and spent this time with me, just like Sonia. I appreciate you joining and getting to know you a little bit better. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me. Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506B me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.